call it competency framework. Number 2, in terms of the installment of the culture of student workload measurement. This has been presented by other teams member. I think this was in March, last March. And of course, the third one in the implementation of the authentic assessment, which is internationally comparable learning outcomes in degree program. Okay, so for this particular session, or in this afternoon, 3 of us only will focus on the first outcome, which is how we generate or develop the competency framework, right? Okay, basic definitions of competency. So we are maybe familiar with the terms of program outcomes, or in short, we call it PO, or we call it program learning outcome, PLO. Some other institutions, they call it learning outcomes. Okay, this is what we've been used in USM. But in CALOHEA Project, these competencies were referred to as domain. I know medical use the word domain and subdomain, whereas for engineering, civil engineering, in this particular project, we call it dimension with associate subdimensions. Okay, all this terminology will referring to competencies. A basic definition of program outcome, or you can call it competency, in a degree, in a bachelor degree, in a higher education, will refer to a specific skill, knowledge, attitudes, and abilities that the student are expected to acquire by the end of their undergraduate program. These outcomes are designed to align with the goal of the programs, okay, because we have our vision and mission of the university and the program, and we ensure that graduates are prepared for professional practice if your program is professional, further education and other postgraduate pursuit. And of course, this outcome, or we call it competency, we often also assess through various means such as we have exam, projects, presentation, practical assignment to ensure that students have achieved the desired competencies, or what we have in USM, we call it program learning outcomes. And the institutions typically define and publish this to maintain transparency and as a guideline for the curriculum development for teaching strategies and assessment method. So specific program outcomes can vary by discipline and institutions, okay? And they generally include the following component. As a program owner, we expected our graduate to have a comprehensive understanding, for example, the first one, okay? And of course, we also expected our graduate by the end of the programs is able to have this cognitive skill, which is a critical thinking analytical skill. And also for those program having a practical component or technical, we expect also the student should have a relevant technical skills and others. We can list this, okay? So these are some of the competencies that we are maybe familiar with, and this is how, this is just an example. But the question arises is how to establish these competencies. Okay, there are programs, for instance, in our case, in civil engineering, we were given a guideline by the Engineering Accreditation Council in Malaysia to have at least the 12 competencies, or we call it program outcomes, to adhere for the program of civil engineering. Okay, and we also have other standard to follow. Okay, and how we to get the mutual recognition among the Asian countries. Okay, because we know that each program, even though within the same country, they may have a different set of program outcomes, or so-called competencies. So in this afternoon, we will share with you how we establish this competency and how we can use this the development of this competency to get a mutual recognition so that we can encourage student mobility as well as credit transfer initiative. So all this, okay, we also heard the term outcome-based education. Yeah, outcome, we're referring to the program outcomes, or sometimes they call it learning outcomes. In this project, we call it competencies. Okay. All right, so I just give you a quick diagram just to show under the outcome-based educations, we have three main components. I'm referring to Felder and Brand, which is a very the expert for this educations, education. So we have to make sure the things that we planned, which is the learning outcome, or we can call a program outcome here, or in CALOHEA, they call it competencies here, to be aligned with the implementation stage, which is stage number 2, where we can design the instructions, whether we're going to have a labs, lectures, or we can have some other problem-based learning activities. And finally, we will do some assessment. So it can be a test, it can be a survey, it can be a classroom assessment. So all these three components, it should be aligned. Okay. So if you want to gauge a student with their skill in the laboratory, this is, for example, one of the competency, then we will provide a laboratory for the student. And later on, we will ask the student to submit a lab report. This is just an example how we can have this constructive alignment based on outcome education. For this afternoon, we only will focus on how we develop this competency framework, which is so-called these learning outcomes. Okay, second part of my presentation, how we develop a common competency framework based on the CALOHEA project for civil engineering in the Asian country. Ladies and gentlemen, for this particular project, there are 14 universities involved with civil engineering group. Okay, these are the universities. Okay, we have from Philippines, Cambodia, Indonesia, we have from Vietnam, Thailand, Laos, and of course Malaysia. Okay, and on top of that, we also have our European team advisors. We have Professor Alfredo here, and also we have Professor Emmeline, okay, which is both are very expert in this subject area group of civil engineering. So with this 14 university, we're supposed to establish this common competency framework or program outcomes, which is common for all. There are several tasks that we have to follow. These are the methodology. So of course, the first task, because this project is continuation of our previous project, we call it the TASE project. So this actually we do some revision, and this task will be further elaborated and explained in detail by the third speaker, which is Professor Dr. Azwani. And then after this, after the task one, each institutions are required to develop the region-wide subject specification qualification framework. For example, for USM in Malaysia, we start to establish ours based on all the requirement for civil engineering program. And then, of course, later we need to compare within with the help of CALOHEA reference framework. And finally, we will agree on the final versions of, we call it common competency framework for civil engineering program. So these are the stage involved. Of course, as institution, we need internal discussion among the teams, and then we have institutional faculty members. We also do some consultation from our graduates or alumni, and then we also engage with the employer for the consultation session. And finally, we finalize our qualification framework. What does it mean is that when we want to establish a common framework, qualification framework, or this we call it competency framework, we seek advice from several stakeholders. Our team member, academics, we also have our alumni, and also the employer, which is the industrial player. And we sit down together and we agree and disagree on the final common competency that suit the best for civil engineering. For the civil engineering, we have established this competency framework, which we developed a generic civil engineering qualification that address 3 dimensions. Okay, I keep on saying dimension, subdimension is referring to competency. Okay, we grouped it into a big group dimension. We call it knowledge, skill, and responsibility. I think everyone will agree with this because these are the main or very important competency that all our graduates in civil engineering should have. Later on, we extend it to the sub-dimensions. Okay, sub-dimension or the describe the essential common outcome for civil engineering graduates that will further described by descriptors for the knowledge, skill, and responsibility domain, or we call it also as dimension. Okay, these are the final versions that we have. So we have come out with 4 dimensions. Okay, we believe these are very important for civil engineering graduates. First, the graduate must go through a learning and development process in the fundamental domains, mathematics, science, as well the core engineering and complementary discipline, with the help of knowledge, skill, and ability to serve as competent civil engineer. And then we have also the second one in investigative solutions. And we believe that our graduate also may have gone through a training that it can serve back to the society. And the final one will be in terms of the abilities and personality. All these 4 we have agreed among the 14 universities. And we also expand into our sub-dimensions. Okay, for a learning and development, we split it into more details, okay, which is 1.1, we call it a science and mathematics principle, 1.2 civil engineering practice principle, and so forth. As you go down, you can see there are sub-dimensions that describe the competency framework that common to all civil engineering in the ASEAN. If I label this, okay, so if I numbered this can be the program outcome number 1, number 2, and so forth. So for civil engineering, with these 4 domain or 4 dimensions, we have agreed on the final version of these 16 program outcomes. Okay, this is what we have obtained from CALOHEA Project. And the details are here. The descriptors for each individual program outcome, as explained here, that will take care of the knowledge, skill, and responsibility. This is the program outcome number 1, number 2, number 3, and we continue on the number 4, 5, 6, and 7 under the domains of investigative towards solutions and serving the society. We continue the list. These are the program outcomes that we have agreed. And finally, in terms of the ability and personality. Okay, so these are the total of 16 program outcomes for the civil engineering program. So having established this common framework, we try to map that what we have done, what we have in USM. For the School of Civil Engineering, as I mentioned earlier, we are bound to the Malaysian qualification framework. And of course, we also have the Engineering Accreditation Council. Okay, so Engineering Accreditation Council has established 12 competencies or program outcomes. These are the 12 that we must have for our program. Remember, I showed you earlier, CALOHEA, we come out with 16 program outcomes. Okay, so what we did actually, we mapped from what we have established from CALOHEA, which is the 16 program outcomes or 16 competencies, to the one that we have in our program, the existing one, which is 12 program outcomes. So with that, we'll be able to map it nicely. For instance, the first 3 competency from CALOHEA Project actually map nicely to our program outcome number 1, which is the knowledge. Okay, and then so for the next one, we have mapped to our program number 2 and until we have program number 12. You see this red and the yellow and the white color. The yellow mean is nicely mapped, is equivalent to the one that we have. But we still have a room for improvement. You see, sometimes this, in terms of the PO1, for the responsibility, maybe we didn't spell out properly in our PO1. So these are the interesting part that we learn from CALOHEA project. So sometimes we are more focusing on the knowledge and the skill, but maybe for the PO1, which is the knowledge base, we also actually can further extend it to cover also responsibility. Okay, so these are the interesting part that we learn from CALOHEA. Our PO12 is not the perfect one, but that will actually answer the requirement by the professional body in Malaysia. But with this project, actually, we can further improve it. Okay, so these are examples from Vietnam, from the Ho Chi Minh University. So they have several also competencies, and they also map with our the common competency, the 16 common competency for school of civil, for the civil engineering. So they also be able to map it. Okay. And of course, this from Simlaya as an example. So they also able to map, and of course, there's still a room for improvement. Okay, the last part of my talk is on sharing some of example of this student mobility program and credit transfer within the Asian region. In USM, we have established many policy. Way back in 2018, we call it USM Go Global, or sometimes an other campaign, we have one passport, one student. Okay, so we have a student mobility program where we can have a short one, which is about roughly about 2 weeks, or we also encourage a exchange program for 1 semester in USM. 1 semester, that means equivalent to 14 teaching and learning a week. And also we have other examination and so forth. Okay, so we have this program actually. And these are the example of a curriculum structure for the Bachelor of Civil Engineering in USM. So we have the top part, all the core courses. So we don't touch this. We have university requirement for 15 credit. The core is 108. And we also have elective courses, which we offered about 18 courses. Students will choose 6 of it, and the total credit for elective is 12. If we add up together the core 108, the university requirement 15, and the electives 12, altogether the requirement for graduation for our program is 135 credit. Okay. Okay, I highlight this elective why, because these are the courses that have a potential for a student mobility program and as well as a credit transfer initiative. These are the example where I'm sharing one of the project mobility program, a short term in 2020 with the Kyushu Institute of Technology, QTech in Japan. Okay, so the students are traveling roughly about 13 days, and we start plan with our collaborator on from QTech University, what are the activities the student will be fill up throughout their stay there. For instance, they have this talk by how the architectural planning will carry out. They have this bridge and civil engineering structures lecture. They also have a visit to wind tunnel laboratory. They have this field study to see the bridge construction. And then they have these architectural structures event, lectures and model workshops. And they have another field study. And finally, they make a presentations. Okay, so these are examples of the project that we have. And then based on that, it is interesting to highlight, if we add this, the face-to-face credit hours is 28. For this 28, this is actually more than the 2 credit subject. In Malaysia, in USM, we have, if 2 credit subject, 2 times 14 is 28. So now face-to-face is 35. So a balance, or maybe you need roughly about another 45 to have a 80 SLT. In Malaysia, for a 2 credit subject, the student learning time is about 80, 80. Then we divide by 40, which is our notional student learning time, that will give a 2 credit subject. So these are the programs that students spend in QTech, so they will obtain a 2 credit transfer. So these are the PO. So I believe with this particular program transfer, this particular mobility program, they answered in terms of problem identification, PO4. They also have experimental data. They carry out some lab there. They use some of when they conduct their project, their utilization of the appropriate tool, PO7. They also have this ethics, they learn ethics and professionalism during their field study, and of course other outcomes. So very interesting. When they spend over there, times over there, they learn these outcomes, the competencies that we expected. There are some of the photo they spent in QTech this way back in 2019. And then we also have this King Mongkut University in Thailand. And of course, we also receive incoming mobility inbound. That means students from QTech coming to USM. Last year, they went for ITB Bandung in Indonesia. And of course, recently, because of our collaboration with QTech, then we send again a student to QTech University. So as the conclusions from this CALOHEA project, we believe that the common competency framework can be used for a mutual recognition among Asian university. And of course, that also will facilitate the credit transfer. And we have done it from the point of School of Civil Engineering in USM. And if all of us adhere to the standardized quality benchmarking, so we believe that will elevate further collaboration among Asian higher education. Okay, so this project is evolved and mature. The project is still ongoing. So I strongly believe that this project will be very useful for the near future. With that, I thank you. Thank you, everyone. So I would like to invite second speaker, Professor Dr. Hairul, to continue for the teacher education. Please welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Tasya. Sorry. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let me confirm. Can you hear me and see my slide?
Yes, ready.
All right. Alhamdulillah. So thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim again. Assalamualaikum. Very good afternoon to all the participants. So it's my turn now. On behalf of the team from Teacher Education Group in USM, also on behalf of other teacher education team from from other university in Malaysia as well as from other countries. I'm not sure if they are with us now. Anyway, I'm going to continue with our team's presentations. So thank you very much, Prof. Tasya, for maybe define some of the terms that need to be introduced, so that maybe for those who are not involved in CALOHEA program, maybe you are not familiar with some of the terms. So, so the Prof. Tasya has admirably defined many of the important terms. Okay, so straight to the point where we are going to focus our presentation today for the teacher education group. Again, today we are only focusing on the first outcome, or known in CALOHEA program as recognition mechanism 1 or RM1. So basically a little bit repetition about the definition of RM1 is the creation and the use of regional subject-specific qualifications and assessment reference frameworks to permit greater compatibility of institutional degree program profiles. So in other words, in short, what this RM1 or this outcome is, the objective of it is how we can see how we can measure the compatibility among the programs either within the country or also especially with different institutions from different universities, particularly in ASEAN countries, Southeast Asia country. So we are also in the project, we have given some guidelines of how this RM1 task can be achieved. By that, I mean that in terms of the methodology, you know, you go through kind of a similar process and methodology that our engineering group has gone through, as mentioned and described by Prof. Tasya just now. In terms of task one or line one is first the revision of the meta profiles. So we're looking critically and specifically on each programs and understand what are the profile or the profiling of the program, so that we be able to see if there is any compatibility, similarities as well as differences. And then with that, using also different documents, official document in respective countries, each country or each institution try to go over all these importance and official documents to see whether we can start molding such framework, such framework, or in this sense, in this project, we call it competency framework. With that, and then during many workshops and events within this project, CALOHEA project, so teams in the same area, which is teacher education, we sit together and we analyze and looking at again similarities and differences between the frameworks that been developed at the early stage as far as the countries and the institution is concerned. So I think this is also very much quite similar to Prof. Tatsia's presentation just now. We also come up with a rubric. I think not only teacher education group, but all the other two groups come up with a rubric in how we can start to build institutional CALOHEA teams framework and so that we can lead, or becoming an example of for the future project and future research in terms of developing the competency framework as well. So as you can see in the second column, stated starting point, I think I mentioned earlier also, we very much try to recognize the documents, relevant documents that can be our reference to this process, either standards, norms, and frameworks. So standard very much something that we use a lot in a teacher education group or team because there are many established standards as far as teacher competency is concerned. So we have standard Guru Malaysia or Malaysian teacher standard that has been developed by the ministry, for since 2009. There are basically two different standards. Standard 1.0 which was developed in 2009 officially, and then second standard was developed in 2019. So it's a standard 2.0. I'm going to go over that later. So these documents was used extensively in our our work, particularly in our discussion within the institution, and also when we sit together with other institutions from different countries. In Malaysia also, we also refer to our philosophy of education philosophy, national education philosophy also, and other related reports, official reports established or published by the ministry. Okay, then moving forward, I think I mentioned also earlier, identifying the differences and commonalities between the degree profiles. By degree profile, I mean the different programs in the university institution, in terms of a teacher education group, we slightly more challenging task for us, because unlike civil engineering just now, maybe there are one common single programs, offered by most universities. But in education, there will be many different programs. For example, we have arts in education. We have different majors. We have history, geography. We have the Bahasa Melayu, and similarly for other program also like science of education. We also have different. So as far as this CALOHEA program, although we are looking at all the programs, but we particularly focus on the science, particularly the biology major. But as far as sharing today will be too much for me to go over all the programs. So we're going to be very general in terms of sharing here. So again, we come up with differences and commonalities, and then we try to develop the framework as far as our ASEAN context is concerned. So I'm going to share with you also in a moment, very quickly, the framework that was developed, but I think is still developing. Since the project is still going on and maybe continue, there will be also more opportunity for us to revisit the framework and see how we can improve the framework. Okay, so then we have,
Pak Hairul,
yes.
macam lah Pak Hairul tak buat slideshow.
Oh, sorry. I thought, okay. Oops.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for remind. I thought I already, hold on. Okay, let me stop. I'm so sorry. I thought I okay, can you see the slide now?
Yeah, I can see the slide, but please click on the slideshow, the bottom right.
Okay. All right.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So the slide was shown last at all, or not the slideshow slide?
We can follow earlier, but it's smaller. But when you have turned this slideshow, it's better now. Just continue.
Okay. All right. So let me move on. We kind of behind a little bit. So again, this is what I'm talking about methodology, also being mentioned by Prof. Tatsya just now. So we look at on the top, we look at all the documents, and we also do some sort of data collection with stakeholders, talking about students, current student, former students. We also look at our alumni. We're looking at colleagues in different education related institution like teacher education institute, different universities. So that we can get better understanding, maybe check and balance in terms of what should be there in the framework. And then, of course, consideration with our, subject expert of a teacher education group in other ASEAN countries. Some of our members in this group has traveled to different meetings and workshop all over ASEAN to go through and to improve the framework that has been developed by each institution and countries. And of course, we revise the framework. So I'm going to later share the revised framework. But there's also possibility or opportunity to improve further. A little bit, I know that Prof. Tasya has defined competency, but as far as teacher education is concerned, competency is the skills and knowledge that enable a teacher to be successful. To maximize student learning, teacher must have expertise in a wide-ranging array of competency in an especially complex environment, where hundreds of critical decisions are required each day. Yeah. So it's being more challenging from time to time for teachers nowadays. So this is also what we want to prepare our student in School of Education, in any institution, of how our graduates can actually possess this kind of competency. Okay, so this is very quickly, I mentioned about Malaysian teacher standards that has been used as our reference document during our process. There are two different standards. Standard 1.0 developed in 2009, which possess three different main domains: professionalism, uh, knowledge and understanding, and also teaching and learning skills. Of course, each domains will have their subdomains, so that we're going to look very quickly in terms of professionalism. Domain number one, there are three subdomain within this first domain, which is self, profession, and social. Looking at teachers as themselves having all kind of values that we need, and how we can see the importance and the importance to really uphold the professionalism in this profession. In terms of social, we're talking about the community also. As a teacher, not only they are responsible or for the student in the classroom, but also indirectly and directly, they also are responsible for others, parents, and also people in the community. Domain two in standard one, again, knowledge and understanding. There are, as I mentioned, there are a number of sub domains within this domain two, which is knowledge and understanding, like philosophical, educational goal and objective, learning outcome, teaching and learning needs, educational knowledge and content, information, and communication technologies, and others, as you can see in the slide. As far as the last domain within this first standard, teaching and learning skills, within this, there are four different skills, as you can see in the slide: preparing teaching and learning planning, implementing teaching and learning processes, monitoring, assessing, and evaluating, teaching and learning effectiveness, and classroom management. So really is challenging. Yeah, it's not. It's something that demand a lot from teachers to be able to develop all this competency in their profession. Okay. Then in 2019, the ministry have come up with another standard, we call it standard 2.0. Now we have one additional number in terms of number, but also different. Some are different domains as compared to the first one. The main domain of this Malaysian teacher standard 2.0 are knowledge orientation, instructional, community involvement, as well as personal quality. Yeah. So, and of course, there are subdomains within each domain of the second standard, which I don't think we have time to go over very specifically. Yeah. So this is domain two, instructional. Then we have community involvement, which also have three different subdomains. And finally, in terms of the personal quality, there's also a number of sub domain that need to be developed within our graduates so that they can go into the society, into the classroom, and be able to become an effective teacher for their students. Okay, so I'm putting back this slide as the methodology to show again where the documents just now been used in the process of developing the competency framework. Okay, so so let's go over the development of this competency teachers competency framework within this CALOHEA project. Okay, so in short, there are 7 dimensions, yeah, that groups, all the groups get together, our colleague from different institutions in different countries. So we have come up with 7 different dimensions as a guideline or framework for this competency framework. So the first one is knowledge, mastery, management, and creation. The second dimension that group has agreed to put it in the framework is design, development, implementation, and evaluation of curricular component and processes. The third one is learning, enabling growth and holistic development. Number 4, I think I realized in civil also the civil engineering group also have this as the domain or the dimension, yeah, which is communication. So especially teachers, they need to have this competency, these skills of how they can transfer the knowledge through different modes of communication. So communication becoming very, very important for our graduates to develop in their profession. Then number 5, we have community engagement and social leadership, also very much into the community side. And then we cannot run away from the 6th dimension, which is the ethics and professionalism. And I think this is very much almost all profession will have this code of ethics, so that we, so we act and practice the integrity in our professional life. And last but not least, dimension number 7, lifelong learning, human formation, and well-being. So of course, each dimension will have specific. Again, we won't be able to go very detailed. We use the same table, same table also to see and make the mapping and align from dimension to sub-dimension, and also looking at how this dimension and sub-dimension being translated into 3 different aspect or component, which are knowledge, skills, and so responsibility. Okay, so there are quite a number, yeah, of these related to the 7 dimensions. So I put up the slide here to see this mapping or this alignment, yeah, between the dimension, sub-dimension, and also the 3 contexts, which is knowledge, knowledge, skills, and also responsibility. Okay, so I'm going to my last presentation. Also a little bit about our experience in USM, especially in our School of Education Study. This is one of the mobility programs. There are quite a number of mobility programs actually. We have, for example, we have programs in Korea. We have two different universities in Korea, which our students have done some attachment in the universities. We also have short programs also with, for example, in Japan, like civil also, we have some program with Hiroshima University, where we send a number of students from different program for about a week or 10 days, and vice versa. They also send students. But I want to share this experience, this international teaching practicum program, because I directly involved in developing this program starting in 2011, as one of our research project. And then we continue with this program 2017 till 2019, and then we have to stop because of the COVID, and we have not started yet, although there has been some requests from our former partner, to maybe restart this mobility program again, where we actually have transfer credit program with this ITP. So very quickly, I think I have 5 more minutes to go. This is International Teaching Practicum Program in USM, an innovative teacher education program. Basically, for those who are not familiar with teaching practicum is when pre-service teacher put theory into practice in a real school setting for a stipulated amount of time to gain learning experiences and exposure to the actual classroom teaching and learning. So basically, it's like an internship, like industrial placement for other program. Yeah. So therefore, in an international teaching practicum, a pre-service teacher undergoes the teaching practicum in a foreign countries. So under this course, with the PGT 490 teaching practicum, it is actually a 10-unit credit our course, which is compulsory to all our students, especially our final year education major student, regardless of their program, regardless of their major, they have to go through this compulsory course. It's a semester-long course, 14 weeks. However, for this ITP, when we do it in the past, the students spend the first 7 weeks, which is first half of the teaching practicum locally in one of the schools, that they were assigned to. And then the remaining 7 weeks at foreign countries. Yeah. So foreign countries, of course, the selection is quite thorough. There are interview also, so there are quite a number of requirements. Although all students are eligible to apply, but there is some stringent process of selection, making sure that we are sending, the qualified student. Yeah. So when they are teaching in foreign countries, of course, they are using the local country curriculum and syllabus that been shared with them before they actually depart from Malaysia. So they have familiarized themselves with the syllabus, and the assessment or the grading was done by both our lecturers, USM School of Education lecturers, also at the corresponding partner university lecturers. So, for example, when we send our student into Bangladesh, we identify corresponding lecturers in faculty education that are willing to involve in this project. So they also help us in terms of done the assessment. Yeah. So other than pedagogical teaching skills, it's also provide rich intercultural platform for student teachers to further develop their teaching quality. Okay, so history, it was first time in 2011 in Maldives. So we started with a research project, and then we sent 6 students to Maldives in 3 different schools, high school, and all the students are in TESOL program, teaching of English. Yeah, so English major student was sent to Maldives for 6 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks to do their practicum there. And then we continue with different other partners, for example, Indonesia, also Bangladesh. We have many from Indonesia, yeah, and also we have one from Brunei in 2018, yeah, before we, not offering the program because of the COVID. Okay, so this is details. I'm probably going to skip this in terms of the majors and the student. I just want to put up very quickly the map of where students were sent from our school to different countries and teaching do their practicum teaching in the school. All are in the high school in respective countries like Bangladesh, Maldives, Indonesia, and also Brunei, Darussalam. So very quickly, we found out there are a lot of benefits, both in the literature as well as what we found from our own data collection and research, enhancing knowledge and skill and enrichment, world views and global perspective, of course, cross-cultural understanding effectiveness, coping with unfamiliar surroundings, self-reliance, self-confidence, personal well-being, increase professional proficiency and understanding diversity. Of course, not to forget the pedagogical, the teaching skill that they get by having to adjust to different contexts and different environment. So again, I also have some photos like Prof. Tatsia, some of the photos during our international teaching practicum program. This is in Indonesia, 2016. This is before that in Maldives in 2011. It's also from Maldives. And also we have again some benefit, also practical values of ITP and also research values. So students are also doing action research while teaching. And we, as the lecturers who involved in the project, also have done related research. And we have collected many data and published many articles that come up from this project. Okay, so as short as to wrap up again, there's a lot of benefit from this competency framework development from this CALOHEA project for different parties as guidelines in terms of their preparation for their future profession. So as a summary, regional teacher education qualification reference framework do permit greater compatibility of the institution degree program profile for teacher education. So, and dimension and inclusion of sub-dimensional qualification reference framework for teacher education program. So this is again ongoing. We hope that we can continue, work with our partner from different institutions and different countries so that we can solidify and maybe improve our competency framework that can be a good reference for our graduates, which should be the way moving forward. That we are now global, so something that we can hope our students can be benefit from this. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you very much. I would like to invite our third speaker, our third panel, Associate Professor Dr. Noor Azwani Yaakob from School of Medical Sciences, USN. Let me stop.
Yeah. Okay. And thank you so much, Prof. Hairul. And let me share my screen first. Okay. Okay. So and Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. I'm Azwani from School of Medical Sciences. So first of all, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share our experience in CALOHEA Project, specifically for the specific group medicine. And this is some of our members from University Malaya, from Vietnam, from Indonesia, from Philippines, and an advisor from the tuning project, and Dr. Anna. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that, and after, sorry, Okay, so after listening to both Prof. Taksia and Prof. Hairul, and I'm going to share with you in terms of our medicine work, but basically we go back to outcome-based education, and because many are asking me whether am I going to introduce something totally new from what we are doing now, which is outcome-based education. And I'm sure Prof. Tatsia have give you some hints of that also. And then I'll go to from CALOHEA to practice, give you an example of two of our courses and how this how our MD program comply or align with CALOHEA competency. And then we look into how USM MD program go global or go internationally. So as Prof. Taksya mentioned that we in Malaysia we are doing our program as an outcome-based education, and just now both speakers have mentioned that outcome-based education means that our students are clearly informed on what are expected from them in terms of knowledge and skills that they need to have and able to do after completion of the program. So in our OBE documentation, we put this as outcome in PAO and PLO. This is already explained by Prof. Tatsia, but then with this, we design courses to achieve the outcome, and every courses we have course learning outcome, and we have assessment method, and with the assessment method, then we look into whether our students achieve the outcome of the courses and later of the program, and that we reported in our course outcome and program outcome attainment. So this is our practice now. So does CALOHEA introducing new things? As Prof. Tasya mentioned, in CALOHEA, the term outcomes, the competencies is actually our outcome, because in outcome-based education, when we state our outcome, it is actually the competencies that we expected from the graduates. And when we design our courses, we look into student learning time. And in CALOHEA, they use the term student workload. And in previous sharing sessions of the CALOHEA project, and Prof. Saiful and Dr. Mastura already mentioned that our survey, not only in USM, but also in other participating university, not only in medicine, but also in teacher education as well as engineering. It seems like teachers or the lecturers perceive student workload less than what the students perceive. So the student perceive that their workload is heavier compared to how the lecturers perceive the students' workload. But we still look into student learning time. Okay, and in terms of assessment, CALOHEA highlighted the importance of authentic assessment. And in previous sharing session, we have mentioned that our survey among academicians shows to us that not many familiar with the term authentic assessment. But when we describe what is authentic assessment, meaning that we assess our student as how they're going to perform in a real setting, then actually our academician actually mentioned that they are actually practicing authentic assessment for the students. So, and then going back to CALOHEA, as mentioned by the two speakers, and we actually need to do the meta profiles, which is developing a subject-specific qualifications framework. Then we consult our stakeholders to refine the qualification framework. Then from the inputs of various countries of the participating university, we then make the meta profiles to consider as a regional subject-specific qualification reference framework, which means that this is the framework that every universities of who are handling that program, in our case is medical program, and as a framework reference, so that this is the standards or this is the competencies that we want from our graduates. So if we have all these same reference, then we can have a comparability. That means our program is comparable to the other program in Southeast Asia at least. So with this, and our task is actually on the recognition mechanism one. So why it was called recognition mechanism? Because at the end of the day, we want our program to be recognized at least at Southeast Asia region. Okay, and because we are using the same reference framework. So actually this task is started way back in our first project with tuning, which is the TASE, where during the TASE, we already asked our stakeholders what is their expectancy, what is their expected competencies of medical graduates. These are the clinical of health government hospital, because they are the one who receive our medical graduates for the internship program or for the internship training, or what we call the housemanship. So when we ask our stakeholders, the clinical specialists, the top 5 competencies that they are expected is that on the history taking, physical examination, making diagnoses, and good clinical practice, as well as patient safety. So from here, we do a meta profile from the TASE, and when we come to CALOHEA, and our first task is to revise and refine the meta profile. And as mentioned by Prof. Tasia, we discuss back in our participating institutional team. Then we go back to each university and consult our academician, graduate, and employer. So this is the first meta profile that we produce from TASE, whereby we think that the competency of medical graduates, the core competency is patient care, and we define that with the family, community, and population care. But to have this, they need to integrate the knowledge and skill, the quality assurance, the communication, as well as ethics and professionalism. So this is our first TASE meta profile. Then we go to CALOHEA in terms of consultation, where we do focus group discussion. And so we have 2 universities, USM and University Malaya from medicine group in Malaysia. You have UMP from Vietnam, UNPAD and UNHAS from Indonesia, and West Visayas from Philippines. So what we did is that we consult our academician. So in medical practice, we have 2 categories of academician, which is basic sciences lecturers as well as the clinical lecturers. And for graduates or our alumni, we choose those who graduated for the last 5 years, because they are the one who had undergo the housemanship training, 2 years training. Therefore, they can reflect back what actually a medical graduate should know and should able to do, so that they can continue with the housemanship 2 years program successfully. And of course, we ask again the employers or the medical consultants from the Ministry of Health and Hospitals, and the other countries also with the medical specialists there. So from that discussions, we discuss back, and then we refine our meta profile, saying that all this personal care, family care, community care, and population care is actually, we can call it health and well-being. But of course, still we agree that it needs integrated medical knowledge in terms of basic medical sciences and clinical medical sciences. But we also have this clinical practice, the competencies in terms of history taking, physical examination, reasoning, diagnosis, management, and patient safety, but and also ethics and humanities. And we redefine this to quality practice, because we also need the evidence-based medicine, the scientific research skill, the digital skills, and also the medical legal in clinical practice. And of course, all this actually in one big an umbrella of professional behavior, which also need and what is needed in medical graduates is a teamwork, leadership, resilience, self-care, professional values, accountability, lifelong learning, and communication. So this is our final medical competency reference framework, means that we developed this for Southeast Asian medical degree program to refer to when they want to look into their program outcomes in terms of the competency of their medical graduates. So, as also explained by Prof. Tatsia just now, when we talk about medical competency reference framework, we divide that into three main category, which is the knowledge acquisition, skill attainment, and responsibility expectation. And for medical program, we put out that knowledge acquisition is the deep understanding of various domains essential for junior doctors' responsibilities. And in terms of the skill attainment, is for them to acquire skills to perform expected responsibilities competently. And in terms of responsibility expectations, is to uphold the highest standards of patient care as individuals as well as professionals. So if we look into the KSR, the knowledge, skills, and responsibility in the CALOHEA framework, does it really differ from what we are practicing now, which is OBE, outcome-based education? So if we look into OBE, then we also spell it out. We also spell it out with as a CPA, or the cognitive, psychomotor, and affective domain. So it is actually the same. So when we further make a descriptors for all the domain and subdomain, we have a descriptor for every domain, and for each subdomain also we have the descriptors, which I think due to time limitation I won't share here, but of course I can share with you later if you request for that. Okay, and so to illustrate this, how this domain and subdomain and competency with descriptors, and how this we align with our medical degree program, and I will look into then on our teaching and training and also assessment. Okay, so I'll give you two examples, which is our GMT 407, the Community Family Case Study, or well known as CFCS. And this is from the domain health and well-being for the subdomain community care. And you can see here, this is the happy looking medical students with some children from the community and the community leaders here. So what is in CFCS is actually a medical student embark on field public health activities, research-based approach, and experiential learning in the community, known as the community residency. So what is community residency? In residency 1, they conduct household health surveys, and from here, they follow up with a plan and perform specific studies to determine the community diagnosis. From the community diagnosis, they then conduct health projects and promotions, and then afterwards they do evaluation to assess the outcomes and sustainability of the project. The students also stays at the foster family house at the residency 3. So they are assessed using the group presentation as well as supervisor report and group report, peer assessment, logbook, and community leaders feedback. So if we align on what we are doing in our CFCS with CALOHEA and competency framework descriptors, in CALOHEA we say that for knowledge, the students must demonstrate the understanding of different components of community health status, social determinants, and community well-being. So in CFCS, they really look into community profile, they present the community demography, they identify health problems and social and cultural determinants, and they are assessed using scenario-based written examination. In terms of the skill, the CALOHEA descriptors is to apply appropriate skills in determining community health status, social determinants, and community well-being in order to prevent and control the health events and promote community well-being. So in our CFCS, the students present the interpretation of health-specific study findings using appropriate statistical tests, and from here they present the proposal of the community prevention and control intervention, and also they present the community intervention implementation and evaluation. In terms of responsibility, the CALOHEA descriptors is participating in design, implementation, and evaluation of the community health intervention and advocate for community health well-being. So in CFCS, yes, because they work in group, so they have to plan and conduct surveys and intervention as a group, and they also collaborate with local officials and community as well, and participated in all the stages of community residency. So it is aligned with what the CALOHEA Competency Framework descriptors. And when we ask for the program feedback, our medical students agree that this CFCS exposed them to the importance of doctors' role in community care, and also train them to be a good team members, and also work with community leaders and collaborate with other agencies in the community. The feedback from the community leaders also highlighted that this program benefit the students in terms of exposing the student to real setting in the community, so they understand and able to adapt with the cultural norms, and also can communicate with the people in the community, and expose the student to the local community health problems. So, in conclusion, we think that our GMT 407 are aligned not only with our program objective, but also with the CALOHEA framework. The second one is that because this is on the community care, I'll give you another examples in the domain of clinical practice, since we are in medicine, and the subdomain clinical management is our SHOTS. SHOTS stands for Shadow House Officer Training Schedule, which is a training at final year to plan similar to the internship schedule after graduation. So what they did is actually, in final year, they will do similar to a houseman as a doctor and working in the hospital. So they will clerk case, they will involve in patient management, investigations, procedures, surgery. They have to follow ward rounds, they have to involve in the case presentation and discussion, and they also need to record all the findings and the progress of the patient in student management record. This is similar to a doctor and document all the progress of the patients in a patient folder, but due to medical legal issues, then we cannot allow our students, which is not qualified yet to be a doctor, to put in the patient folder. So we create a student management record, which is similar to the patient folder. So in terms of assessment, the students will be assessed by clinical examinations, the logbook, and also viva voce from the student management record, and also professionalism thematic engagement scale. So this is the assessment, and when we align in what SHOTS are doing with the CALOHEA knowledge is to demonstrate understanding of management of clinical problems, and SHOTS, they have to apply clinical sciences in patient management as well as interpret the clinical investigation. In terms of the skill, the competency framework outline that it is apply appropriate clinical skills in management of patient care, and in SHOTS also they perform clinical examinations and procedures and manage the patient record. In terms of responsibility, is to demonstrate expected responsibilities in the management of patient care using the highest standard of clinical practice. And in SHOTS, they not only have to ensure patient safety in their clinical management, but also have to collaborate with other healthcare professionals in clinical management. So if we look into that two examples of our courses and then looks back into the CALOHEA competency, and CALOHEA have developed a region-wide, in our case is Southeast Asia, subject-specific, in our case is medical degree program, specific qualification reference framework. So if we refer to a same framework of qualifications to in terms of the competency, then we can ensure our medical graduates' preparedness and proficiency to transition into junior doctors. And by delineating the essential knowledge, skills, and responsibilities required for the medical practice, this is a guiding principles in empowering graduates to meet the demand of the profession with confidence and competence. And because this regional subject-specific qualification reference framework, then it promotes consistency, standardization, and accountability across the region's medical education landscape. And with this, ultimately, it will enhance patient care and safety while fostering a culture of excellence within the system. So, and we have gone through that. We look into our course learning outcome, we look into student workload or our student learning time, and we look into our authentic assessment and how we attain that in our PLO and PEO. And all our program, we actually have complied to our medical degree program standard for Malaysia. And we also have aligned with the regional qualifications reference framework, which is from the CALOHEA. So with this, and what is the impact or what can be implied for with this? Okay, so Prof. Tatsia and Prof. Hairul have shared how they do the credit transfer and the student mobility. We also have in our medical degree program student mobility with the Maastricht universities and in few other countries. But what I will share with you that the recognition when we have complied to our program standard locally, and we also align with the regional qualification reference framework, we actually have recognition by other country, but this is outside Southeast Asia, whereby our MD USM program in Kubang Krian, we also receive students from Arab country, means that the Arab countries recognize our training program and send their future doctors to be trained with our MD USM program. At the same time, we also collaborate and we have our offshore school in Karnataka, India, whereby at this time, Dr. Prabhakar Kore, the politician of the Karnataka, India, he comes to Malaysia and find out which medical degree program suitable to be implemented in Karnataka. And so in Karnataka, USM program is still MD USM, but was taught by the staff in KLE universities. And these USM KLE and actually have students from Malaysia and also from India. So we also have recognition from the India Medical Council. So this is some of the examples of how when we are align with the competency, regional competency, we can be recognized by other countries. And we hope that with this training, we go to our motto of medical degree program, which is compassionate professionals, because we do realize that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So with this, that ends my sharing sessions. So and our three sharing session, Prof. Tatsia, Prof. Hairul, and me for medical sciences. Okay, so I end our session here. But if any questions, then maybe we can entertain a few if there is any. I didn't see any questions in the chat, so maybe I give back to Miss Sarah.
Okay, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor. So we are now open for Q&A session. Anyone who wishes to ask related question, you can unmute your speaker. Alternatively, you can also type your question in the chat box if you have any. So I don't see any question in the chat box either. So okay, I think I can wrap up the session now. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to say thank you to all our speakers for their invaluable insight and expertise shared with us today. Your passion for advancing higher education in the ASEAN region is truly commendable. To all our attendees, Thank you for your participation and engagement throughout this session. In closing, let's make a lasting impact on higher education in the ASEAN region. Before we dismiss, please scan or click on the link given, fill up the e-survey and clarify your attendance to ensure your CPD point. Until we meet again, thank you and have a great day, everyone. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you so much, Sarah and CDAE.